I've actually kind of given up the whole concept of being a mom or what, I guess as maybe a social construct more than anything. And I just do whatever the best I can when I can.
Mm.
And with the belief that they understand that you're doing the best you can whenever you can. So I mean, the best is not the best you can is definitely not the best, but it's what you can do at that time. And if you see the effort and the consistency, that's what being a mom is for me more than I guess the term.
Welcome to the How It Feels to Be a Mother podcast, where we dive into the emotional complexities and varied experiences of motherhood. I'm your host, Sarah Broberg. This judgment-free zone is a place where mothers can express their authentic feelings and experiences as whole human beings. In each episode, we'll explore the catalyst question at the heart of this movement. How does it feel to be a mother? Through engaging discussions with mothers from diverse backgrounds from around the world, we'll explore the complexity of emotions along the continuum of motherhood. Join us as we speak with mothers from all walks of life, from those with infants to those with adult children, uncovering the vast emotional continuum of motherhood. Whether you find motherhood to be a blessing or a challenge or somewhere in between, sometimes all at once, this podcast is here to validate your feelings and to break the stigma, shame, and guilt that can often accompany maternal experiences. Tune in and be a part of a movement that empowers mothers to embrace the emotional depths of what it really feels like to be a mother. Join the conversation. Welcome to the How It Feels to Be a Mother podcast. Today, we're discussing the emotional complexities of motherhood with Nadia, a single mom in the midst of a separation who shares her journey through motherhood with her 3 young daughters, ages 6, 5, and 3. She discusses the struggles of transitioning into motherhood amidst personal and global upheavals, including moving countries and managing postpartum depression during the COVID-19 lockdowns. She shares her perspectives on the ups and downs of parenting, especially single mothers navigating their path through significant life changes, and her story highlights self-acceptance and adjusting expectations. Nadia discusses the unexpected realities of motherhood, from the joys and spontaneity of her children's personalities to the intense pressures and isolation mothers often feel. This episode explores how motherhood can be both a deeply individual and universally shared experience, a journey of constant learning and adaptation. So this is a question that first kind of kicked off this whole project for me. And I realized when I was asked this question, like, oh my God, I don't know how to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how any other mother I know would answer this question either. Like, not my best friends, like not even my own mom. So the question, it was a catalyst for all of this.
It is.
How does it feel to be a mother?
It feels everything, I would say. Because it feels good, it feels bad, it feels exhausting, it feels exciting, it feels depressing, it just all like the whole gamut of emotions you kind of go through.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it feels everything.
Mm-hmm.
So some days it's terrible and I hate it, and some days it's great, and some even from moment to moment. Like one day you're screaming at them, and next to shoot, and you're like, "I hate you, but I love you," and different thing. Like it's just a mess. Really. But that's the only way I can think I could describe it off the top of my head.
Mm. Oh, one thing I forgot to do, actually, thank you for that. I want to make sure that I'm capturing accurately your children, your family dynamic. And so there will be no identifiers attached to anyone's race other than like no specific identifiers. But I'm sorry, I should have done this at the beginning. If you could say your age, your preferred pronouns, your relationship status, and then the age of your children and their preferred pronouns as you know them.
Okay. So I'm 37. Preferred pronouns is she, her, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I'm a single mom now, currently in separation, soon to be divorced. And I have 3 daughters. So 6, 5, and 3 right now, as of today.
Oh, one has a birthday?
No, because in case it changes later on. Her
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So next question. Does it feel like you thought it would?
No, definitely. Because I was actually scared of being a mom. I actually didn't, not that I didn't want to have kids, but I was so scared of being, because I had, Ramsey's special needs.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, I guess, a less glorified version of what motherhood could be, because I could see the appointments, the running around, the time it took, how it took over my mom's life, etc. So I was like, I don't want that. And then, so I came from a place of fear, I guess, more than anything, than into motherhood. And then, yeah, it's just been an experience ever since. It's different every time, even though they're like close in age. It's been a different experience every time, and it's yeah, it's just been different. No, definitely not what I expected.
Mm-hmm. So what is your experience?
Uh, it's been up and down. Like it's been down for a long time, and now it's slowly edging up. I had some postpartum depression after my first one, and I was pregnant 6 months later. So I didn't recover from the first batch, so that I was back onto the second one. Included a move when I was pregnant with the second one. I moved countries, moved jobs, moved house, moved everything. So and there's a lot of family disagreements at the same time, so it's a bit stressful. And then the last one I had her during COVID lockdown,
Oh my God.
and then I was at home, and it was actually much less stressful because everybody's at home with me. I was prepared to do 6 months at home for maternity leave, so everybody was with me at home, and it was a much less stressful period. So it was, yeah. So I each time you learn more, like as you get more kids, how to like let go, how to not be so stressed out about things, how to have like this like impeccable to-do list that needs to be done every day, and just be more like go with the flow and easygoing. So it got gradually easier.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of answered this question, but I'll ask it anyway. So how has the feeling changed over time?
Yeah, so like I said, it was down and then it got upper, but then I also had to go through a lot of changes myself. So when you're a first time mom, you feel like you have to do everything. Everything has to be perfect, quote unquote, and you're very much in the status of comparing yourself. Even though I was God sent, had the best, I met a midwife when I was pregnant with the first one, and she was very much like, don't go online, don't Google anything, don't ask too many questions, just do what you have to do, because she's very much the belief of, we're made for this for women, our bodies are made for it, we know how to adapt, don't worry about it, blah, 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 blah. I had a hard time believing her, but I learned it the hard way anyways. And so that's it. So it got better, but I had to do a lot of work on myself also for it to get better. I had to go through some hard things and, really realize the pressure I was putting on them, the kids, based on what I thought had to be done, and the pressure I was putting on myself based on what society was doing, and basically come from more of a internal place, and less of like what society says, what I'm supposed to do, what it's supposed to look like, what, the blogs say, what people say, what all the moms say. So you have to kind of find yourself in that process, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said. What's your favorite thing about what it feels like to be a mom?
This is going to sound weird, but I'm sure people can relate. Is when they're like asleep, the house is quiet, and I'm like, oh, my kids are so cute. I can think about the day and have some time to myself. But I mean, off the top of my head, no. But seriously, I actually like them as people. Like, I mean, even on the little people, and they can be annoying. I like my girls, and they're funny and they're quirky and they have these like weird things coming out of their mouths and stuff like that there. So I actually enjoy their company for periods when I can have some time to breathe, and then we get back to it. But I'm with them all the time. So obviously, like anybody, there's periods, moments in the day when it's like just gets tiring, and then you pick up again and it goes back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're my little homie.
Mm-hmm. What concerns you about what it feels like to be a mom?
What concerns me about what it feels like to be a mom? I've actually kind of given up the whole concept of being a mom, or what, I guess as maybe a social construct more than anything. And I just do whatever the best I can when I can.
Mm.
And with the belief that they understand that you're doing the best you can whenever you can. So that means the best is not the best you can is definitely not the best, but it's what you can do at that time. And if you see the effort and the consistency, that's what being a mom is for me, more than, I guess, the term. Exactly.
How was that process of kind of giving up those societal expectations or like preconceived ideas?
I ended up on my own with a 6 months old, a 2-year-old, and a 3-year-old working full time. And you just like you try for a while, you really try to keep it all together, like they say, and it's that there after a while you just can't. It's just physically impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, and I would imagine emotionally and mentally and spiritually impossible too.
yeah,
Right?
it's just you cannot do it. Like I thought I could, but that's always the same. And maybe it's too much spirituality, but people will give you like the universe or God or whatever you believe in will give you, examples where to stop. And I'm like, I'm like, no, I can do this. I'll push through, I could get better. But it doesn't. You have to stop and you have to give up and you have to just do what you can.
Mm-hmm. Was there a particular moment for you when you said kind of you got that sign from the universe or whatever that was just like, okay, this, I hear you, whatever you is.
Well, yeah, well, I would say maybe like 6 months into like being on my own. So I wasn't technically separated, but we were living separately.
Separate countries.
Yeah, different countries. So I was definitely on my own, even though there was support, like you say on the phone, but that's not real support when you got 3 kids. It's just like entertainment really at that point. Um, yeah, it just dawned on me. Like I was just on my couch at night, like a mountain of laundry, the house in shambles, kids asleep. It's my favorite time of day, but
Yes.
I was like, I just can't do this anymore. And there's a lot of talk with, 2 of my kids went to school, other parents talking and chitter chatter. And I'm just like, I can't keep up with all this. Like, think what you want to think. I look a mess. I don't look a mess. Whatever you want. F everybody, to be polite. And that's it. Just kind of give up. It was a slow burn. It wasn't like a definite like moment, but it was definitely a slow burn.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
What surprises you about what it feels like to be a mom?
What you find out about yourself, really. What you actually always, I guess you had it in you or you didn't really know, or just, like being with kids or having a responsibility with kids really confronts you to yourself more than anything else in like work or relationships or moving or I don't know, our revolution, anything else that happened. That's the one thing that like, and it happens to every single person. Like I know every mom has gone through it, whether they're conscious of it or not. I know flat out it's changed every single person because you really had to come to terms with yourself. So you either realize, say for example, I used to yell a lot at the kids because I just couldn't, my emotions were too much and I couldn't control them and this and that. And so you get to a point where you're like, okay, am I yelling because like this is the way I want to be or this is the way I'm pushing myself to be or what? And then you think about it. Some people just don't think about it, just continue yelling and exhaust themselves. But I know everybody gets those questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me think of a term. I don't know if you have the American term. I'm sure there is, but in French they mix the word teenager and motherhood together.
Oh,
So it's called Matricence, so maternity and adolescence. So it's like maternity and adolescence together. And it's basically the concept that whenever you become a mother, it's like whenever you become a teenager, you become an adult. You're a woman, you become a mother, and it's like a growth process, just like teenagers go through, their whole emotional changes and this and that. There, motherhood and maternity does the same thing.
oh, wow.
Mm.
That's fascinating. Like what you're hearing? We'd love your feedback. Please leave a review. One of the reasons that I wanted to reach out to you and some of my international friends is because like, I'm so curious how the culture like influences has or has not influenced and the society has influenced your views of motherhood.
On motherhood itself, I don't. I couldn't tell you like I don't have like concrete examples on motherhood, but I could say for like maternity or like having the baby. So I had a baby in Ireland and a baby and 2 babies here in France. And also it's funny because when I was pregnant with my first one with my husband at the time, we were having an argument because for me, midwives deliver babies. It's just the way it goes. You go to the public school, public hospital here, a midwife will deliver your baby unless there's a problem and a doctor intervenes. And he was like, "No, doctors deliver babies." I'm like, "No." So we had this like whole back and forth. I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Sorry, excuse my French. And so then I realized because it's a completely different system in the States, like midwives don't deliver babies. So that's the first point. And then, for example, like in Ireland, um, so you go through your midwife, you got your own midwife appointments. I went through public sector and everything was perfect. So you go to your appointments, and for example, they measure your stomach to make sure the baby's growing properly. Whereas in France, they actually weigh you, and you're only allowed to put on 12 kilos, which is the equivalent of 24 pounds during your pregnancy. And they'll constantly remind you on each appointment, monthly appointment, if you're putting on too much weight or not too much weight, and this, then the third.
So no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. I'll be like, okay, thanks, honey. I'm going to KFC right now. She just said that to me. I probably
Well, also, Yeah. And for you, I mean, after having the second, you were pregnant again 6 months later, to lose like that weight and then have to like, no, that's not a normal experience for anyone.
No, the very, like in France, everything has to be everything's in a box. Like you have to be in the French box, the same school system. So motherhood, I'm sure is probably the same, but I don't identify, I guess, too much with French culture, even though they're surrounding me all the time. But like the babies only have to weigh a certain amount. You're only supposed to weigh a certain amount. Like if the kid's over 4 kilos, which is like 8.5 pounds, something like that there, it's like abnormal.
Mm.
And I'm like, but I'm tall. I'm like over 6 foot. My husband's over six. He's 6'8". Like I'm not gonna have a small baby.
Right.
But for them, it's like not possible. So everything has to be in a box. Everybody, it's just the way it is. So I'm sure it does affect motherhood in that same way. People feel like they have to act a certain way or be a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I see my brother's girlfriend, I can see she's really stressed and like a bit uptight because she feels things have to be a certain way. The kid has to do a certain thing. And I'm like, just give it up. Like she's 2 and she will win the battle. like you're not going to win this. Like just give it up. But it's in her. It just has to be this way. It has to. You have to have these kind of boxes. You have to have a table to change the baby on. You have to have this. It's just a lot of have tos. So I'm sure that'd be perfect.
Is her 2-year-old their baby with your brother?
Yeah. They have 2 kids now. So she has a 2-year-old and a 6 months old.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them. Congratulations. Your parents must be thrilled. Your mom must be thrilled with all these grandbabies.
She's with them now. She has 5 grandkids. She's like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's
5 granddaughters to be exact.
Oh, they're all girls.
I like, for example, my brother's girlfriend. She's like very much a kid has to be dressed like in beige or like mustardy colors, nice and proper. And my kids have like ruined her because like dressed in unicorn. She's got glittery shoes now. She's like, get these kids away from mine.
Like cross contamination.
Yeah, my unicorn life.
Okay, so let me see here. Do you have conversations with people in your life about what it feels like to be a mother?
Never in the like grand scheme of things, you understand? Like we'll talk about it when we're tired because the kids aren't going to sleep, the kids aren't eating properly. I have a group of moms who meet up every Wednesday morning. So the kids go to the same school. We have a coffee right after to drop off the kids for school for like an hour, which is cool. So we'll talk about what the things the kids are doing that's making us tired. So the act of being a mom. But I don't think we'd ever spoken like be what being a mom really feels like.
Mm. Why do you think that is?
I don't think people really think about it, to be honest with you. I mean, I know I've thought about it a lot, but I think most people are more in the action of it, like the act of being a mom and how it's affecting their lives, or they're not doing what they're supposed to, or this or that, or they can't do certain things, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think people really think about it. But if I was to say, like, in general, people don't really think about their being, quote unquote. And they're just in the doing of like, okay, we went to school, we graduated, we have this, we have that, and this, like, we get a good job, we get married, like the whole like social construct of life. And they stick to that really until there's like some kind of disaster. And then they may or may not start looking at it as what they really want to do or not do, if it's like, where they want to be, and some people just don't even think about that and just power on in their grief or pain or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, until your life implodes and then you're like, oh.
Some people just accept the implosion. They're like, oh yeah, okay, let's just continue on and be miserable forever. The implosion is that sign, like I said, like the sign of the universe, like you got to stop at some point. When you look back, you're like, oh yeah, I could have stopped this like maybe 10 years ago, but hindsight is always 2020.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Everyone has their own journey.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I told you that this question of like what it feels like to be a mom was sort of the catalyst for this whole thing. And I was like, so curious because I mean, Joey asked me the question. It was Mother's Day. I like woke up.
Oh God, Joey, wrong day.
I know. I literally like opened my eyes. We were still in bed. And he was like, "Happy Mother's Day. How's it feel to be a mom?" And he was saying it like, in jest, obviously.
Yeah,
been a mom for 16 years.
Sarah wakes up and she's like, the question of my life.
I know. And I was like, me, I'm like never speechless. And I was like speechless. I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't even know. And so then I started having like this intense curiosity about how and why I'm like having trouble answering this question, and then also about how other mothers would answer this question. So are there mothers for whom you're really curious how they would answer this question that you think might want to have a conversation with me?
Um,
Think about it.
yeah, I actually had to put this with that midwife I met, Sarah. Middle school.
Mm-hmm. We're amazing.
Yeah, she's got a really good insight on motherhood, and also like on her own motherhood. She's got 3 kids, and and then but also like maybe in general, 'cause she is a midwife in Ireland, and she'd be really cool. I think her perspective is great. 'Cause she's literally saved my life. Like I would never. I don't think I'd have had kids. I'm glad that you went to see her. Like, okay, I have this baby in me. Tell me what kind of drugs I need to get to get this thing out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Just like self-hypnotize yourself. And I'm like, huh? You crazy lady? It actually works. So she's crazy, but it works.
Hey, if it works, it works. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I can get in contact with her, I'm sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, and if there's anybody else too, just like
I'll think about other people.
Let me know. Yeah, I'd love their contact or make the intro or send me their info.
And Serena also, a lady that lives here also. Yeah, she's a child book author, so you can.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you think we should talk about?
I think the thing how it feels to be a mom is like a really hard question because it's exactly it's a feeling like it's like all the feelings at the same time. Like there's no one way to be like, oh, it's super fun and I'm loving it all the time because it's a lie. And you don't hate it all the time either. Most of the time, if you're like mentally stable. So it's like an array of emotions. You know, it's like because you can't really like just pinpoint one thing. And like if you ask, like now the kids are at school, everything's great, the house is clean, being a mom's great. You call me tonight, it's 7 o'clock, I'm trying to bath them and feed them, and nobody's listening to me. It sucks. Understand? So it's like but you have to have both to enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think it's more of an array than just being a feeling, and it's how you deal with those feelings too. I think that helps construct how you're being mom is. I don't think there's an explanation for it. I mean, I at least can't put like actual words to what being mom is.
I think you've done a pretty great job here now. Learn more about how it feels to be a mother by visiting howitfeelstobeamother.com and following us on our socials. Please join the conversation. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on this podcast, including those of the host and guests, are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of any entity they represent. Appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The content presented is solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. The use of information provided on this podcast or materials linked from the podcast or website is at the user's own risk. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical or mental health condition they may have, and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.